Hello everybody, it's Wednesday, September 6th, 2017. I am on my way to work this morning and thought I'd take a moment to recap and finish up my video from last night about preparing for Hurricane Irma, which is supposedly the largest storm they've ever seen off the coast of Florida right now, and slated to make landfall in Florida. There's a lot of panic going on in the state right now, because I think a lot of the people in Florida are new. Florida always gets hit with hurricanes. I was here when Andrew hit, even though I wasn't in South Florida, and I saw the devastation that Andrew did. The whole town of Homestead is gone. I thought I'd take a moment to comment because some viewers are expressing concerns, and some are actually in Florida and freaking out. The first thing I would say is, one, calm down. Everything's all right. You're still all right now. Two, if you're a van dweller and you don't have secure dry land to get to in a building, get out of Florida, okay? You are, assuming you've got money, of course, you've got your own home with you, so you don't have to deal with the hotel issues. Trying to get out of Florida and get into another state, hotel prices are going to be high. And with the threat of Irma and how big it is, I'm sure people are already evacuating, so all the hotels in the outer lying states are getting filled up, which is jacking price up even more. So fortunately, if you're a van dweller, you can live in your van, and hopefully your van is configured enough where you can actually live in it. So your van is actually better than a sticks and bricks in the sense that you can move. You can leave danger behind. So if you're a van dweller, I urge you to not take chances and get out of Florida. Head somewhere away, probably northwest, inland. If you are stuck in Florida, you've got to try to get with people or a shelter that is on dry land if you can, because it's not safe to try to ride something like this out in your van. Now, thankfully for me, Walter's timing of letting me use his house is giving me more secure location than trying to survive in the van. It's also giving me peace of mind because my wife and her daughter are with me. I know my children will be with their mother and their stepdad. All we can really do at this end is pray and hope for the best, and hope that everybody prays for us. And other than that, I try not to worry too much. I have lived in Florida since 1985. In that time, I think I've gone through at least 6 or 7 major hurricanes. We've had 4 direct hits. I think 4 direct hits in Brevard County. If you guys have been watching the channel since last year, we had Matthew, but Matthew didn't really hit here. It ended up going up north and hitting at Daytona, St. Augustine area. Brevard County did get slightly hit, but not too badly. Irma is huge, and you know, wherever it hits, it's going to be bad. But truly, the people who will be most affected are those on the beach side. Right now, we're riding along the river. I think this is the Banana River, or no, this is the Indian River, which this area could flood right here along the edge of US 1. But to the right of us over here, I'm going to try to turn the camera there. See, that's the Indian River, and then across from that bridge, which we're coming across Pineda right now. Just straighten out my car here, but across from that is A1A, which will need to be evacuated. All those people on the islands are the ones that really need to evacuate, because the islands may go underwater. Now, those of us on the mainland, which is, you know, the mainland of Florida, are a bit safer in the sense that we're not right next to the ocean with the storm surge that can occur. Like, the surge could be more than 20 feet high, which is enough to put the whole area underwater, considering that the island, Bavaria Islands, that place is already underwater. What's holding the water back is the sand dunes and stuff that make up the edge of A1A. So the road itself and that whole area, parts of it is actually underwater, below sea level. That's Satellite Beach. Most of that will have, well, people there will be urged to leave. Although I know people who will stay, people who have vacated in the past and found that nothing happened, came back. And, you know, some will choose to stay, but I would urge those people to leave as well. Where I'm staying right now is actually mainland, way in Melbourne. So I'm not right next to the coast. I'm about, probably about 15 minutes away from US 1, just to give you a rough idea of travel time. So that's inland quite a bit more, 15-20 minutes. And I know 192 flooded the other day during a big storm, so I think the area will flood, you know, if the storm sits. There are several dangers that occur with a hurricane. It's not that it's a big, huge Category 5, it's what it brings with it. And what hurricanes bring with them are tornadoes. That's what the danger is tornadoes, the immediate danger. Then the second thing is flooding. Because a hurricane that moves really slow, you know, like traveling across the state or across the water, whatever, really slowly, brings like tons of rain. That's what happened with Harvey. And then you have flooding, and that's what the danger is flooding. Because with flooding, you have, see all these power lines and stuff? You have the danger of getting electrocuted, if not drowning, okay? Now, because I'm planning on staying, I am looking at dealing with going with no power for upwards of a week or more. Hopefully within a week, maybe 2 weeks, they can restore power. Now, for people who live in a sticks and bricks who have never experienced going without power, it is a very scary thing. But if you've been watching the channel, then you know that Little Blue 2 or any vehicle with an inverter and enough gasoline can actually provide enough electricity to cook food. Even run a fan, maybe charge your phone systems, your battery systems back up. So I'm not too concerned about electricity. You know, I'm concerned about actual flooding, and if that's the case, there's not much you can do other than climb up on the roof and hope the rescuers come if it gets to that. But I truly don't think that it'll flood that much, even though, you know, Houston obviously was underwater. So that you can't really predict unless, you know, you watch and see how slow the storm's actually moving and how much water it's generating. But from my end, all I'm doing right now is just trying to prepare a few food items. Cash is tight right now, so I didn't buy a lot. But not only that, I went to the store for the first time last night to try to get some water and several other supplies, and the shelves were like completely empty. So people are freaking out. They're and I think rightfully so, but they're buying up everything. I mean, in another video or parts of this segment, actually this video here I'll be tying together, you can see the shelves are like completely empty. I tried to get water, but there was no water available. So I actually got something that may be better, which is soda and juice and things like that. Because that all is water, believe it or not. It's just got other things in it, especially sugar, which is usually bad for you. But in an emergency situation, the sugared water or the soda may actually be good for you. And the reason for that is it's got food. Sugar is food. You know, your body takes all nutrients, all foods and stuff that you eat, and eventually breaks it down into simpler sugars so that your body can use it to make energy. In a crisis situation like this, the sugar may be more valuable than regular water. The only potential problem is processing. Your body has to process it out, so you might try to urinate it out. So you lose water that way. That's the big potential problem with it is you're going to have to expel it from your body. But even regular water, your body processes it and uses it to remove other items too. So I think ideally it would have been nice to have a lot of water there, but I went ahead and bought sodas, lots of soda, and some juices. And I'm actually planning on drinking those up over the next couple days. Not all of it, but the ones that I do empty out. All I'm gonna do with it is just fill it with water. Now, luckily for me, before all this hit, I bought a small little pure water filter thing to attach to the kitchen sink, so I can have filtered water. And what I'm gonna do is just, you know, take the empty containers and put filtered water in it, and then put it in the fridge. And some of it I don't fill up completely. I fill it like 90% full, and I'm putting it into the freezer to freeze it. And the reason for doing all that is this. In past hurricanes, we went without power for upwards of like a week in certain areas. So, and then after that, they got the power back up. So I'm suspecting that if Irma actually hits this area and it's bad, then we will probably lose power for 1 or 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more. As long as we aren't underwater, I have the ability to generate electricity, and I have my rice cookers with me. And you know that with that, I'm able to cook. So at the very least, I'll be able to boil water, heat up water. So I'm planning on making a bunch of soups and noodles. You know, I bought a bunch of cup noodles. I think I bought, let's see, 12, 24, 36 cup noodles. I figure that should last at least a week or 2 or 3. A lot of rice, and believe it or not, for protein, I did buy some meat, some frozen hamburger patties, which would have to be eaten within the first week, within the first couple of days, as the temperature starts to warm up. Remember, we're making a whole bunch of ice using the 2-liter soda bottles filled with water. Not completely filled, but like 90%, because water expands. And with those solid chunks of ice in there, it should allow me to keep the refrigerator cold. You know, at least the freezer part, where I can keep things cold enough to last a week or 2. And as the ice melts, you'll have drinking water. At least that's the plan. And all this is lessons that were learned from living in the van. So if you've been watching the channel, then you should not be panicking, because you already know how to survive. And you know that you can make ice. You know, having a house is even better, because I can generate ice, which is a luxury I didn't have while in the van. So I'm generating a ton of ice that can be turned into water when it melts, and I'll have some clean water to drink because I'm using filtered water. At the very least, I can boil water. I can also put a little bit of bleach, chlorine, into water and drink that if need be on an emergency basis. I plan on filling up the bathtub with water and using that to rinse and, you know, do things, and even drink if we had to, by putting bleach in it. We also know that we can cook without electricity if we need to by using wood. There's going to be plenty of wood around, although it might be wet. So today when I get home from work, I'm probably going to try to cut up some wood and set it aside in the garage, so hopefully it'll stay dry, and I can use that as tinder for the, you know, fuel for the fire. Planning on making a little grill, maybe another rocket stove, I don't know. And using that if we need to cook, as long as it's not totally wet. So that's why I'm not panicking. The van has taught me a lot of survival lessons. This video is primarily for those of you who are in Florida that are van dwellers. My advice, get out. Go to Highland, go northwest. I would suggest going past Louisiana on out there somewhere. You have the ability to leave. Those of you who are stuck, you need to try to hook up with some friends who have a house away from the coast. If you can't, then you need to get to emergency shelter area. If you are in a house, then you may want to go pick up a power inverter, at least 400 watts. And lots of gasoline for your car. You can watch the videos right now before you lose power and can't access the internet on the build of little Bluetooth cooking system, inverter cooking system. That will actually show you how to hook up an inverter to your car battery and generate electricity. It won't be enough to run air conditioning and a refrigerator or anything, but if you get at least, I recommend if you can get a 750 watts or greater, but you might not be able to find those now because people are buying them up. People who know about inverters and how to generate electricity with them. But try to get one at least 400 watts and a rice cooker. You can make rice. You can also make soups. You can cook meat with it. Basically, it's an alternative to using propane and butane if you can't have, if you don't have those or can't find them because people are buying those off the shelves. I prefer to use electricity to cook because of the vehicle, being vehicle-based, and also allowing me to use it in a regular house on 120 volts. We also know that wood, this is common sense, wood burns. So, if you can get twigs and sticks and stuff and set them aside, keep them dry, you will have tinder for making fire. But just be careful that you don't set your house and other things on fire. That's assuming the whole area doesn't flood. So, that's pretty much my advice. The main one is just don't panic. Make sure you get plenty of food. It probably wouldn't hurt to get some canned foods. I have some canned foods left over from previously, but I didn't buy that many for the simple fact that funds are like out. So I went with rice, which is my normal staple food. The other thing that I think is worth pointing out is eggs. We know that eggs don't really need to be refrigerated, and eggs are plenty of protein. I saw eggs. Everyone's skipping eggs. And of course they weren't buying the meat either because they know meat will go bad. So meat was just sitting there, so I expect meat to be marked down here soon after the hurricane, if not thrown away, because nobody's buying it. We can pick up some really good bargains with meat here shortly after the hurricane passes, because all this meat is just sitting there. But eggs, buy lots and lots of eggs. I bought 36 eggs because I think, I'm counting that if we are out of power and stuff, it should hopefully not be more than 2 or 3 weeks at the most. Hopefully by then help will get here to this area. So I picked up 36 eggs for about $3, maybe under $4, 36 eggs. Yeah, I picked up 2 18 packs. So for under $4 you can have protein to last you for 3 weeks. Anyhow, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and sign off because this video is running on forever. Just want to wish you all safety. Let you know I'm thinking of all the van dwellers that are out there right now in the path of danger. I hope that the people in Texas are recovering and doing okay. I pray for the people in Florida as well as any other path that Irma might take. God bless you all, and I wish you and pray for your safety.